What are we talking about today? We are going to start from pleasure, that is related to sex positivity. Then we are going to have a chat about consent that is super linked with communication. And then we are going to start to try to understand how much there can't be a conversation about sexuality that is only theoretical, because sexuality is really an embodied topic. So we are going to try to understand, to try to understand how the narratives that we bring, that we carry, really shapes the real and concrete experience about sex and sexuality. So we are going to talk about sexuality and disability and about sex toys. I don't know if you have any questions. Usually sexuality is associated with taboos, stigma, feelings of shame, and sometimes even usually there are these conversations that are always fear rooted, okay, and we only talk about the risky part of sexuality. And so we decided to start from pleasure, to open up the conversation, to try to claim space for pleasure, to build different narratives about these topics, and so about our experience in sexuality, and so to give ourselves other options rather than guilt and taboos, so maybe enthusiasm and curiosity. Okay, this way of approaching the conversation about sexuality has a specific name, that is sex positivity. Okay, that is a positive and open and not judgmental attitude towards sexuality and the matters related to it. You can also maybe have met professionals such as therapists or sex counselors who adopt this kind of approach. So they decided not to put the focus on moralistic judgments such as what is wrong, what is right, what is right, but to create spaces for an open dialogue and to highlight the possible benefits of sexuality and to encourage a way to enjoy it. It is important for us to highlight the fact that sex positivity doesn't mean like a performative way to approach sexuality. Okay, sex positivity is like an attitude that means, okay, we try not to put taboo in our conversation, and we decide to open the dialogue and to be open to the conversation. From then, everyone put his own meanings in the sexuality and the sexuality matters. Okay, that doesn't mean that for everyone sexuality has the same meanings. Okay, for some people can be more important, for other people can be not that relevant in their life, for other people can be a part of their identity. Everyone has the right to put their own meanings and feelings in sexuality. So sex positivity doesn't mean, okay, I talk about sex in every moment of my day and I have to ask everyone to be in the same position as me in the sexuality matters. It's just to open up the dialogue and the conversation. It's like an approach. From then, everyone has the right to have their own meanings related to sexuality. And sexuality is strictly related to the right of pleasure, as we were saying before. So a sex positive approach, since it is it's important for a sex positive approach to have like an informed education and to give people the tools to be aware of the dynamics that can happen in sexuality, can actually reduce the risk of, for example, contracted sexually transmitted infections or feelings of shame and guilt related to sexuality, or the risk of sexual violence, because sex positivity really put a focus on the dynamics related to consent. Okay, so our consent and the consent of the people we interact with. So here you have some link that now we will be sending to you in related to this. So the first one is a scientific document that explains the link between a sex-positive approach and the reduction of this risk. The second one is the Declaration of on Sexual Pleasure of the World Sexual Health Organization. And then we thought also that can be interesting to get in contact with how other cultural contexts rather than Europe talk about sexuality matters, because it's important here that we understand, start to feel that our conversation about sexuality is deeply rooted in our cultural context. Okay, so here we are not offering you like the perfect way to approach to sexuality, because in every cultural context, sexuality has its own meanings. So we decided to put here the first one, the Spotify link is a podcast done by Lauren French, that is an Australian sexologist who has collected the question that she has been asked in her work, okay, by kids, parents, and teachers. And in this podcast, she tried to answer to this question, so about matters such as consent, such as sex, and sexuality in general. The second one is a link about this project that is Sex Positive Families, okay, that is led by Melissa Pinter Carnegie, that is a Black Puerto Rican sexual educator and social worker. And with this project, she tries to give sexual education to families to help them get in contact with these topics outside the taboo. And in the website, you can find videos, you can find a blog. There's projects and also 2 books. And the last one is the Instagram page of Alak Menon, who is a comedian, a poet, and a trans person from India, who does super work in like dismantling and create new narratives about matter of gender identities and ways to approach in a different way romantic relationships. And it can be super interesting to get in touch with other ways to talk about sexuality, because in this way we can remember that it's okay if we like fit in the narratives of our cultural context, but there are a million ways to approach these matters. Okay, so get in touch with other narratives can also be interesting for build different narratives for ourselves, to have different tools for talking and for experience sexuality. So going ahead, like a sex positivity approach increase also like sense of empowerment, the ability to communicate openly about our emotional matters, and so it increases the quality of interpersonal relationships. Relationship also with our bodies, our desire, our feelings. And here we put other 2 links of websites that we thought had a sex positive approach, so in which there is openness in talking about this matter. Here you have Sex Edge, that has a lot of possibilities of topics related to sexuality. And you can find articles in which you will have, I think there in both sides there is the possibility to like look for something, like in the upper part you have there, okay, if you look for like a specific topic, you will have some articles about it. So in this and in the other as well, and we will be seeing this second website more, because we will be using some of this video, because this website works that it has a lot of YouTube videos related to matters about sexuality.
It's pretty hard to discuss consent and also to define it. We heard so many personal experiences where consent was not even required. So, like, what can we effectively say around consent? Is that it's a good practice to in order to have safe and fulfilling relationships, and it deeply depends on the personal history of someone and the context, the relationship dynamics. We can also say that it's something, as you stated already, we're not really educated to, and we were wondering while we were designing this part of the training, we were asking ourselves what was the right way to talk about consent, because we realized that now we have just a bunch of minutes to discuss about it, and the narrative around it can get super narrow, and we risk to leave so much outside. So we tried to condense it in something that I'm sure you saw already, which is a list of what consent should be in order to be valid. Consent should be knowledgeable and aware, and that goes together with specific and informed. It means that the moment I'm asked for consent, I know what I'm consenting to, and I'm giving consent for something that it's specific, and it's not going above, it's not going extra than the practice, than the situation that I'm saying yes to. Also, I need to be in my full capacity of understanding what the situation is, which cannot be granted. For instance, it's been said already. If there is the usage of substances, if there is the usage of alcohol, and if I'm saying yes to a situation, it doesn't mean that I'm saying yes to everything that is coming, that could come after that. And that's why consent to be valid must also be revocable. It means that I can withdraw it any moment if the situation changes, if what I feel changes. Then I can stop being involved. I can stop being happy to be involved in the situation, and that's okay. Consent has to be explicit and enthusiastic. That means that there is a channel, a very interesting channel that I follow. They're Australian, and their whole work is around educating to consent. If you want to check it out, it's Teach Us Consent. Their name, you can find them on Instagram. And what they say is only a fat yes is a yes, which we can read as if I'm joyfully consenting, only if I'm joyfully consenting to a situation, then I can read that as a clear yes. And then consent is voluntarily and free. It means that it's given out of freedom, out of pleasure, out of joy, and not out of fear, out of threat, and out of as we said already long about, and that was really interesting to think about that, about power dynamics. So this situation in which you have a doctor, which is an authority, again, something that can So it can come out of something that I can feel as a pressure on myself and not out of freedom. Uh, yes, price. It's also something that I that we know and we talked about. Price would mean, I don't know if it's the whole text here that you sent in the chat because I only see the first words, but it's freely given, reversible, informed, enthusiastic, and specific. Communication is deeply involved when we talk about consent, even if it's not the only dynamic that it's affecting. We mentioned dynamic power dynamic, which relate more to the context, but it's also about what's the relationship between the people that are trying to negotiate the consent. Because as you said, something is not that one is easier than the other, but it's different when consent is discussed within a set relationship of any form, where we have a certain level of communication ease, and that something else is when it's a stranger or when it's on the street, as Ricardo was saying. What if someone is filming on the street and it's just passing by? How can I discuss consent when it's there, when it's happening in such a fast setting and an uncomfortable setting also? So we can see that even checking consent with ourselves, it's really complicated. So you see, it's not even on a relationship level. It's something within, and not always it's easy to understand what we need and what we want, and that is okay. So we going back to the bullet point. Of course, we try to define what consent is, but at the same time, maybes and I don't knows are part of the discussion. They are there and they exist within a continuum, because consent is a continuum, and on one opposite you have situations and we strongly desire, and on the other opposite we have a situation that we strongly do not want. So it's also important to embrace this kind of gentle approach. Another topic when we talk about sexuality is that we have one way in the narratives. Where someone was talking about narratives in the chat also, and it's that at the center of the narrative there is one way of experiencing sex that is somehow the fair one, the right one, and everything that is left that is around this one way, it's different, it's secondary, and it's less legit and less fair. It's like if in the narrative we had a normal sex and then everything else. We are trying both here and like in all our works, to switch this kind of perspective, and instead of considering one good way and all the rest, each one's experience. So everyone have their own bodies, they all their own needs, their own expectations, and the way they face experiences, they choose if involving in experiences depends on this and depends on them. When we talk about disability, we're talking about a multidimensional possibility of the human experience, and that's why we do it through biopsychosocial approach, and we consider that disability is not a condition within one's condition, but it's the result of the interaction between a person's health condition and the context in which they live. So the disability is produced by social and environmental barriers that are restricting participation. What we have instead as a result of what we consider disability is that many disabled people actually face patronization, and they face attitudes that portray them as forever kids. And because of that, not able or not even willing to involve in intimacy and sexual desire. This stereotype, as much as all the stereotypes that we have to face, that are actually obstacling us from talking openly, safely, and with research-based information about something, is that the result is that there is no full and authentic experience of something. In this case, not being able to have a dialogue, to have a conversation about stereotypes for which a person carrying disability is not willing to engage in sexual activity, is actually preventing us from having people with disabilities experiencing fulfilling sexuality. It's our duty as youth workers to educate all our kids to explore sexuality and to have access to dignity, agency, intimacy, pleasure, self-determination, and participation. On the contrary, preventing them, whoever are our kids, the kids that we are working with, denying this is actually discrimination. So now we're gonna watch a little video about this.
Great. So I'll see you at 7.
Hey Alex, was that about Young Inventors Club? Tonight I'm unveiling my latest creation, the Pizza Taco. It's gonna be incredible.
Oh, sorry, I was gonna tell you. I can't make it tonight. I'm actually going mini golfing with Jillian Peters.
Jillian Peters, student body president, first chair clarinet and stage band, 5th level warlock on our ongoing medieval role-playing campaign. She is so cool. I didn't even know you were into that.
Medieval role-playing games?
No, like, dating. I mean, I hope it's okay to ask, but can your parts do stuff?
Actually, my parts work just fine. Just because I'm in a wheelchair, it doesn't mean I don't have crushes or feel attracted to people. In fact, no matter what our bodies can or can't do physically, people with disabilities have the same sexual and romantic feelings as anyone else.
And, like anyone else, people with disabilities have various sexual orientations and gender identities too. From heterosexual to gay, cisgender to trans, across a full spectrum of sexuality.
But are relationships more difficult for people with disabilities?
Well, regardless of my physical ability, I want the same things from a healthy relationship as everyone. Respect, communication, consent, and fun. And like everyone, I sometimes have questions about relationships, like how do I know if someone's interested in me? How do I ask someone out? Or how do I turn someone down if I'm not interested?
Putting yourself out there and trying to date can make anyone feel nervous or scared. But the more you educate and understand yourself and your own value, the better you'll get at feeling confident and making healthy decisions.
There are certain issues that people with disabilities could be more likely to face. Sometimes it can feel like parents are overprotective when it comes to dating. Or friends might not think of us in a romantic way because they don't understand that we have the same kinds of feelings. And there are some specific challenges that a person with disabilities might have to deal with. For example, if you had trouble communicating verbally, you'd have to find ways other than speech to express yourself or give consent, like using body language, adaptive devices, or pictures.
Think of it this way. Everyone's body is different and needs help from time to time. And regardless of a person's physical ability, they can have the same feelings, hopes, and dreams as anyone.
Thanks, guys. I think I get it now. Sorry I didn't understand before, Alex.
It's okay.
And you know what? I've got something that's gonna make your date with Jillian even more awesome. 1 New York style soft shell pepperoni and 1 hard shell deep dish bean blaster.
Thanks, but were those in your pockets?
Just since this morning.
Ew.
Actually, this video is coming from one of the websites we shared before. It's Amaze. So it's also a great one if you need to bring these topics to the kids you're educating through fun videos. Also wanted to address the topic of virginity. and observing how many stereotypes it's actually carrying within it. So when we talk about virginity and in general sexual activity, we also realize that it's carrying with it a judgment about the person, and this is of course a stereotype. But let's look at the video.
So you've never done it? Ever?
No.
Never ever? Not even alone? In your room?
Nope, I've never done it with anyone or alone. I just don't like to dance.
You may have heard the term virginity, but aren't exactly clear on what it means. Historically, the word virgin was a term used mostly to describe a girl who had never had sex, since purity was considered more important for girls than guys. Back then, and still today, some people believed that you could tell if a girl was a virgin because her hymen wouldn't be broken. The hymen is a thin tissue that can cover part of the vaginal opening and is located about ½ inch inside of the vagina. But not all girls are born with a hymen. And the hymen can also break from other things like using a tampon or riding a bike. Today we know that no one can tell if a person is a virgin just by looking at them, or even from a medical exam, and we recognize that the decision of whether or not to have sex is important for people of any gender. To some, being a virgin means never having had vaginal sex, but has nothing to do with whether or not they have engaged in other types of sexual activity. For example, someone might have had oral sex and still defines themselves as a virgin. Some people, due to a disability, might only be able to engage in some sexual behaviors, and for them, virginity might mean something else entirely. Having sex or not having sex does not make someone a good or bad person. Some people want to be abstinent, that is, to not have sex until they find a partner they love. Others want to wait until they're older, maybe in high school or college. Some teens don't have sex because their religion prohibits it. Others know they aren't ready emotionally to handle the possible consequences. Everyone is different, and each person's decision should be valued and respected. And remember, if you find yourself feeling confused about any of this, or just want help sorting out what's best for you, talk to an adult you trust and respect. An older sibling, a cool aunt, or even one of your parents may be able to help you work through figuring out what is important to you.
Till next time, don't forget to visit me at amaze.org or go to my YouTube channel to watch more. Bye!
We wanted to talk about sex toys and pleasure toys, which is another way of addressing them, of naming them, which can be used alone with a partner or in a group setting, and it can be a way to discover ourselves, our pleasure, and other people's pleasure. We had the chance to get to know the work of Laclit, which is a duo of people who made a huge research around sex toys and around European regulation, who helped people meeting their job, realizing how much it's lacking, actually, this regulation. On the other hand, kids' toys are highly ruled, and sometimes there are also the same chemicals present, and those are prohibited for kids' toys, but are allowed for sex toys. We uploaded on the Padlet. We uploaded both the European regulation, which is this one, and the request for changing it, and also a document that we've been provided by Laclit about what's safe within sex toys and what's not, what's the hidden risks. Sometimes just the chemical itself, it's dangerous because it's in contact with the mucose. Sometimes they are very porous. That means that they have little holes within that can proper bacteria, yeast, viruses, so they can actually carry vaginosis, yeast infections, or STDs as well. We have like this example of this shop, but you can definitely look up whenever you're in the situation of buying sex toys, sex toy. You can definitely look up for a shop that is looking for. Sorry, because I'm also trying to. Yeah, so this way you can see what I'm talking about. So the mission of Giulia and Francesca is also not only to make information around it, but also to select and to put in their shop products that are sustainable in a way that are eco-friendly, companies owned by women or by the LGBTIQ plus community, that are made in Italy or in Europe, and that are carrying innovation. I would like to thank all of you, to thank Ire for the first part. I just wanted to tell them that I took a lot of notes of what they said. Thank you, that was actually even informative for me.